Welcome back to my World of WarCraft world building series. Last time I introduced you to my little project, what it was, how it worked, and what my main design goals for it were. Since a few people wanted to see more about it, I decided to continue and expand on specific topics, parts of the world design. Today's topic is the cosmology of the TTRPG, World of WarCraft. To explain how I change things, I need to introduce how the canon cosmology works a little bit. Most people watching this video probably know the basics at least, and that's why you clicked on it, presumably. But as time goes on, less and less people know the history of it, the history of how the cosmology has been changed and expanded over various games and expansions. Let's start with what little we knew about the cosmology in the first two RTS games. Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2 didn't delve into it a lot. And Warcraft 1 was really a lot different from what we've come to understand of the setting later. You could hear the human churches invoke God. The concepts of the light and the demons weren't really established very well yet. The orcs were, in some places, said to have come from hell. This paradigm was very binary, very basically inspired by real-world religions. It started changing with Warcraft 2. We've learned more about the world the orcs came from. We spent an entire expansion on Draenor, in fact. We've learned they weren't always evil. They were corrupted by the still rather nebulous demons. We were first really introduced to the Twisting Nether, and at that point, this was pretty much the cosmology. The only other plane we really knew. All souls were destined for it. All magic came from it, except possibly holy magic. This was it. In Warcraft 3, the cosmology starts to really expand. We first hear references to the Emerald Dream as another plane where the druid spirits go when they dream. It still isn't explained a whole lot, but we start to see there may be a lot more to the universe out there. Still, back then, the Twisting Nether was where souls of the dead go, where all the magic comes from, as you can still see. And when Archimonde calls the mages of Dalaran, calls them out, or using their magic, which we know now, arcane, isn't from the Twisting Nether, but then it was. Even to this day, in live game, you can find a goblin in Booty Bay who, fearing he's dying, claims he can feel the Twisting Nether coming to claim him. And sure, you can explain it by saying he has made a pact with a demon, or he knows his soul is particularly chaotic. But it's a testament to how simple the cosmology was at that point. And while I am a self-proclaimed Warcraft 3 grognard, that is not the cosmology I want to harken back to. The version that really captured my imagination was the version that came with the Chronicle, the intended ultimate setting Bible that was supposed to canonize the key parts of the setting, that was almost immediately contradicted by developers in the live game. It showed us a very elaborate, six-pointed cosmology built around the world as we know, built on top of the elements that were introduced to us before. I took this cosmology as the basis of my version and expanded on it, and shuffled some things around to make it more thematically consistent. You should now be seeing the Chronicle cosmology chart before you, and I am going to go around it explaining the things I've added and changed. I want to begin with the plane we are the most familiar with, and one that has been with us the longest. Described as the wispy tethers of chaotic energy threaded between the various mortal worlds, the Twisting Nether has always been this coterminous plane, always on the edge of perception, on the edge of reality as we know it, and inhabited by very dangerous things that will suck your soul dry and use it for fuel. Those are, of course, demons. In canon, we do not have a real origin story for the Twisting Nether, besides knowing that it just popped up after the initial cataclysmic battle between light and dark. I wanted to naturally expand on it and give it a little more story, while keeping things a little vague, to give it a certain sense of mystery. even if I know the real answer in my version of the universe. Some people believe that Twisting Nether was in fact the first thing that ever existed, that in the beginning there was only chaos, and from that chaos the other planes emerged. The light defined by presence, the void defined by absence. Others yet believe that the Twisting Nether, with its slithering, weak trails of energy weaving between the worlds, is in fact a wound in reality. That it is in fact the first wound struck when the darkness lashed out against the light and left a permanent scar that no one could heal. That wound symbolized change. It became change, disorder, chaos. It embodied those principles. When the darkness jealously struck the light, it split its perfect unity. It split the monad, the oneness of the universe, into smaller bits, bits that grew sentient on their own and became known as archons. These archons, finding themselves as individuals, embodying different spectra of light, different virtues of light, began deciding what to do, how to organize things, how to reunite the monad. One of them, however, disagreed. He didn't want to reunite things. The green light wanted change, wanted individuality. Not really knowing how to deal with this agreement, being some of the first sentient beings in the cosmos, the Archons decided to expel the green light. They cast him down into the wound in reality. As his desire for change and individuality merged with the wound, he came to embody that change, chaos. His will shaped the plane we know as the Twisting Nether, the plane of chaos. Today, some of the most devout reclusive demons worship him as Dagon, Lord of Change. Because, as a little-known fact turns out, the Twisting Nether isn't just these wispy tendrils of energy connected to mortal worlds, some of which, like Outland, Niskara, or Argus, are submerged into a greater or lesser degree. It is just a coterminous plane, a sort of stepping stone, like all the other cosmic realms have. A halfway plane on the way to the true Nether, the deep Nether, where pure chaos reigns. It is there that in the ancient times before recorded history a number of other beings emerged from the chaos, embodying different aspects of it. There was, of course, Dagon, the Lord of Change, who allegedly started it all. He shaped around himself the ever-shifting Oshwari, the realm of change. In this burning, twisting plane full of magma and green fire and twisting slag, he shaped the first of the Mo'arg. But their shaping didn't stop there. He wanted them to shape themselves, to change without his direct intervention. The Mo'arg kept shaping new forms of their race. The Forgefiends, the Ganarg, the Felguards, and others. The most brilliant inventors who could mold both metal and flesh came to rule the ingenious Mo'arg, pursuing progress with no remorse or consideration for the feelings of sentient beings. The Mo'arg were always one of my favorite demonic races. The way they merged this kind of cyberpunk aesthetic with the demonic goals was very inspiring to me. This apparent caste system between the several major types of Mo'arg gave me hints of a hierarchy, a society, something that couldn't be said about all demons. So I made them possibly one of the oldest demonic races in creation. One of the first other great demon gods that emerged from the chaos was Sire Denathrius. Far more controlling, proclaiming himself the god of deception, he set his designs on corrupting and twisting the world beyond the Nether. He created the realm of Nathreza to look like a dark, twisted forest, a facsimile of normalcy, hiding a dark truth beneath the surface. He shaped the Venthyr, the acolytes of deception, to harvest the souls of those devoted to chaos and subterfuge, to turn the anima, the energy generated by experience of sentient souls, into fuel for the demonic fire. He shaped the Nathrezim, His agents that would go out into the mortal world and corrupt the living beings to want to embrace chaos, so that more souls would be drawn to the nether and empower it, and so that the material plane itself falls to chaos. Dread followed everywhere they went, and the leaders have come to be called Dreadlords. As you can probably see from this, I took Revendreth from the Shadowlands expansion and chucked it over into the deep nether. I actually liked Revendreth's aesthetics, but felt like the Nathrezim, having originally come from the Shadowlands, took something away from them. That them being demons was just a ruse. While incorporating pieces of what I liked about Revendreth and the Nathrias, I put those themes back where I thought they belonged. So Revendreth has been fused with Nathreza, and is now going by the latter name, and is now located in the Nether. Another major realm of the deep Nether was Zetloff, the realm of pursuit, spelled with an X, because it's cool. I have actually done a lot of work on Zetloff, and in my game the players have visited it a few times, and it was one of my first major pieces of world building for this project. Zetloff seems to be comprised of two major parts. The outer parts resemble floating rocks filled with fell hunters, fell stalkers, and rarely seen heart-seeker demons, hunting the souls of those who lost their lives, pursuing things beyond their grasp. These chaotic fields of dying are one of the worst places to be dropped alone in the universe. These rocks orbit a massive library composed of disjointed floating rooms filled with ancient forbidden knowledge gathered by the native inquisitors and guarded by their creation, the Silencers, made with the help of the Moarg from the flesh of Felgars, Inquisitors, and Fellstalkers. While it seems like it would be a paradise for a seeker of knowledge, most mortal souls would never understand any of it, and would be kept just out of the book's reach by the Inquisitors, perennially tantalizing with knowledge one could not achieve. The creator of this mystical realm was Hermenes, the Lord of Pursuit, an amorphous being composed of eyes that see all things and hands that seek all things. And yes, he was largely inspired by Hermeos Mora from the Elder Scrolls. Zetloff is still one of my favorite creations because of the themes it represents and because it was one of my first major creations. The next realm is Taratis, the realm of domination. The name of this realm is canon, but I greatly expanded on it. My players have also briefly visited it a while ago when chasing a succubus was fleeing with the guild's trade secrets, threatening to sell them to the highest bidder. This bleak and shattered landscape, filled with endless prisons and chains and bars surrounding the world itself. Taratis is a nightmare for demons, beings ultimately devoted to the freedom and chaos. At the same time, every demon seeks the ultimate freedom to rule and dominate everyone who is in them, and Taratis embodies this vice. Here, demons are prisoners just as often as they are the jailer, and this is where the demon breed, commonly known as jailers, arose. Other kinds of demonic wardens roam the wastelands, and the prisons that seem to be stretching forever thanks to the non-Euclidean nature of the Twisting Nether. If you wonder who created this nightmarish realm, and who would embody its principles, it's none other than your old pal, the jailer. Yes, it's Zovar, but bear with me, it is not Zovar as you know him. In this universe, he has never been the Arbiter. He emerged in the Twisting Nether as an embodiment of the principle of domination. He seeks to put the whole universe in chains so that he can express his ultimate freedom to do whatever he wants with no supervision. He is the ultimate perversion of the principles of chaos. And of course, he is not a robot warning us about things to come. If you wonder about the place the Annihilan Pitlords come from, it is none other than the dreaded Annihilus, the realm of conquest. Also called the Pit of Slaughter, Annihilus appears to be a craggy canyon with no top or bottom, forever stretching in both directions, hiding the lairs of its native inhabitants, the pitlords. Beings of absolute selfishness, pitlords and their minions constantly fight among each other to prove who's the strongest. Every Annihilan cares only about themselves and only about going out into the universe and slaughtering everything in the way. Beings of absolute destruction. They are some of the hardest to control. The Pitlors themselves are not the only demons who call Annihilus home. There is a breed called the Pit Wardens, for whom I have not made a full picture yet, but you can look at this top-down BTT token to get the idea. They resemble two-legged, much smaller Pitlords and serve as their enforcers and minions. A canon demonic species that lives here is the Wormtongs. These little dreadlord wannabes like to scheme and manipulate and steal, but in the end they're always toadies of something greater than them. And yes, I put them here because their faces kinda look like pitlords. And there's a faint draconic theme in both of them. Creator of Annihilus was allegedly Abaddon, Lord Destruction. Its form is said to be comparable to craggy mountains, ever moving, lined with spikes, trampling everything in its way. The last major realm of the Deep Nether is Obscura, the realm of omens. The least known and least spoken of among the Chaos realms, Obscura is purposely kept hidden by its natives, the most important of which are the crow-like humanoid-shaped demons called Tengu. Tengu and their other eldritch servants pose as the keepers of reality's most tightly guarded secrets. People of all worlds and walks of life may appeal to the Lord of Omens to reveal to them the future, and the answer they get is always spoken in riddles and ominous warnings. These reclusive demons live in a dark, shrouded realm, filled with peaks impossible to scale and endless forests that seem to stretch as you cross them, and fill you with despair. Nobody knows if the hanged men in these forests are souls condemned to this realm, forever lost to despair, an illusion meant to discourage travelers, or the remains of those who tried to brave it. Or perhaps all of these at once. The creator of Obscura is the least known among all Chaos Lords, as even the most ancient demons don't remember him. Some argue that because he's even older than the Lord of Change, and some say he's not even a native demon, like all the other Chaos Lords. Known only as Magna, the Lord of Omens is known for his prophecies. I think we will see what I'm getting at. Remember how in the old RPGs, Medivh was given the creature type of Eternal, a type reserved for gods and titans? Arguably, it was because he was possessed by Sargeras. But I kinda like the idea. In Warcraft 3, he says he's become something more. He isn't just a body raised by his mother. Let's be frank, that book wasn't stellar. By being influenced by Sargeras so much and his own great power, he really has become something else. He's ascended into his own position in this pantheon chaos. But I can hear you ask, where is Sargeras in all this? Where is the Burning Legion? Aren't they the central authority of demons that defines the Twisting Nether? They are now, but in my version, they weren't always. You see, Sargeras is a being of order, a titan. He was sent to the Deep Nether to tame and imprison the chaotic beings that disrupt the plans of the Pantheon. And he fought the demons for countless ages, and in so doing, he isolated the disorganized, the disunited, so-called Pantheon of Chaos, took them down one by one, and imprisoned them deep, deep in the Twisting Nether, far beyond the Dirac Sea, sealed behind the wall of potentials. These ancient beings of primordial chaos were imprisoned, so they would not be a threat to the Pantheon. But as we know, things would change. When Sargeras discovered a group of Nathrezim who embraced the void and were actively corrupting the world soul of a little-known planet called Telodorus, Sargeras realized that if the void gains a handle on a being of the same power level as the true titans, a dark titan, that nothing would be able to stop them. So, as we know from canon, he carved the world in two and killed the world in the process. This realization that dawned on him made him want to change his approach. Long story short, he freed the demons he imprisoned. He turned against his Titan brethren and began his burning crusade. He became the Dark Titan whose rise he wanted to stop. But he did not free the demon gods, the lords of chaos. He knew that if these beings of primordial chaos would be free, they would return the demons to their natural state. No, he wanted to control the demons. His rage, his desire for a twisted version of order, warp the twisting nether. He imposed order on chaos. He imposed his rage on all demonkind and changed them beyond their original purpose. He twisted the twisting nether. But now, Sargeras struck a lethal blow while possessing the body of Medivh. One of my key principles in my design is to let dead things stay dead. And while demons can certainly regenerate and return from the nether, some story-important deaths I keep, even for demons. And while Sargeras isn't completely dead, he is very slowly regenerating inside the core of his world, the world his soul originated from. That is Argus. Yes, Sargeras is Argus. No more Skullface Boy, I'm afraid. Which also explains his interest in the Eredar. They are his people. Much like in Warcraft 3, Sargeras is largely absent and in the background, incapable of acting after he was dealt yet another lethal blow. After the Sundering, after Egwin, after Medivh, it will take him time to come back, but he takes the role that I think devil-like figure works in best. A shadowy figure in the background, feeding your vices to twist you to his path. But this means that, with his incapacitation, the prisons he put in place are breaking open. The beings he imprisoned are rattling in their chains, struggling to break out and to bring the twisting nether back to its original purpose. This was a look at the twisting nether in my design and how I expanded it to fit with the newer cosmology and with the themes I wanted to pursue in my game. There are a lot of my unique creations and world building here, but all carefully designed to fit with the existing elements and the general feel of the franchise, while building up on the sense of other pantheons beside the Titans and my idea of what a plane of chaos would be like, and how it fits into the greater scope of Warcraft. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe and do all the YouTube things, and I hope to see you in the next part, where I want to delve into the other realm we spend the most time in, the controversial Shadowlands.